The top stories this week are Yankees out of the playoffs, the Lions without Matt Millen,
and the Knicks are making some interesting preseason acquisitions. Forget getting your news from ESPN and receive some up-close and personal sports stories from Ryder to across the nation. This is the Ryder Sports Corner. Welcome to another edition of Ryder Sports Corner. I'm Tom Malachi.
And I'm Olivia Hoff. Here's what happened in this week of sports. Head coach Tom Coughlin suspended Plaxico Burress of the New York Giants for missing practice. He was forced to sit out versus the Seattle Seahawks and will continue his suspension through next week's game against the Cleveland Browns. He was also fined around $235,000. The problem that Tom Coughlin had with him missing practice was he never notified the Giants that he wouldn't be there. Burress said he missed practice for a family emergency. Even though his punishment will mean he will be sitting out for 2 games, Burress wants to try to appeal the money loss he will have to pay for missing the practice. Burress hopefully went to the last Mets game at Shea instead of going to practice, because it was the last time the Mets played there ever. The Phillies, who also play in the NL East, will move to the playoffs. One of their players was here to give a lecture about his book, and we were able to have our own Kelly Dixon there to get the story. Kelly, what do you have for us?
With the Major League Baseball season coming to a close, Philadelphia Phillies catcher Chris Coase came to Rider University to speak with students about his book. Chris's book, The 33-Year-Old Rookie, gives fans a look at his journey of over a decade in the minor leagues, winter baseball, and his rise to finally step into the batter's box as a big league catcher for the Philadelphia Phillies. Students read Coase's book as a part of the curriculum for Dr. A.J. Moore's Sports Media Relations class, and on the last Phillies off day before their playoff push, the class had Coase all to themselves for over an hour, during which he gave an in-depth explanation of his motives for writing the book. The students then had the opportunity to ask Coase any questions that they had. After the lecture, Chris sat down with us to explain how he wrote with the goal of appealing to all audiences and his ideas of a successful book.
You know, one of the thoughts in my head was, I want a 10-year-old to read it and a 50-year-old to read it. I didn't want it to be just simply, here's my story. I wanted the roller coaster ride. I wanted to explain that.
Just a few days after Chris left Rider University, the Phillies earned their spot in the playoffs with their 4-3 clinch win over the Washington Nationals. With the playoff season already underway, we at the Rider Sports Corner would like to wish the Philadelphia Phillies the best of luck. This has been Kelly Dixon.
Staying with baseball, the Yankees closed out a low-scoring game versus the Blue Jays with a win, which knocked them out of the playoffs. Wait, the Yankees will not be in the playoffs? Is that right? Yes, it's true. They failed to reach the playoffs for the first time in Derek Jeter's whole career, even with the win against the Blue Jays. This happened after Boston clinched the wild card versus the Cleveland Indians. The Yankees have been in the playoffs since 1994, and only the Braves have a longer record of continually making the playoffs with 14 years. Teams after those 2 records have only made the playoffs 2 years in a row.
Lance Armstrong will ride again. This time he will be joining the Astana team. One thing he will be adding to his riding team is the anti-doping expert Dom Catlin. Catlin will be giving him tests to show the world that he is a clean rider. The first stop on Armstrong's tour around the world is the competition the Tour Down Under in Adelaide, Australia. With each stop this team makes around the world, Armstrong hopes to spread awareness about cancer research and how people can help. He plans not to be the fastest rider, especially at his age of 37, but hopes his message will get to the world. Astana also hopes to have another prolific rider on the tour, including Alberto Contador, the 2007 Tour de France champ.
The Lion Tamer has finally been asked to leave from Detroit. Matt Millen, the ex-president of the Detroit Lions, was fired after a total of 31 wins since he started in 2001. A transformation will need to take over this winter to make this team a winning franchise. But as of now, the decision has come down, and the team will have to be led by Tom Lewland, Executive Vice President. This decision has come after the team went 0-3 in the first 3 weeks of the season. The Lions will have to clean up the mess that Matt Millen left. Hopefully, the turnaround will be just as successful as the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Moving from football to hockey, but of the field variety, our own women played a game this past weekend in some interesting conditions. Patty Wittenberg was there.
Well, it's a miserable day here at the field hockey home opener against Radford College, but many fans still came out to support our Lady Bronx.
The women's field hockey team slipped and slided their way through their first home game this year. They managed to fight through the conditions and ended the first half with the score tied at 0. The players weren't the only ones that had to endure the weather. With temperatures dipping to a brisk 55 degrees with a 50-degree wind chill factor, the loyal fans couldn't be kept away. The Bronx lost to Radford when Radford scored a lucky goal in the second half. Coach Lori Hassong doesn't think that the weather had anything to do with the ladies' performance.
It's not the best conditions to play, but both teams are playing on the same field. And today's game was a matter of who wanted it more, and I think they wanted it more than us.
Goalkeeper Lindsey Johnson explains her performance during this game and how she keeps her composure under pressure.
Even though we lost, it's a little bit of a heartbreaker, but and we didn't do necessarily what our game plan was. Individually, I thought I did okay, but I felt like I could have helped my team out better by directing better, communicating better, showing better leadership. But when you just direct each other and help your defense to basically be the cover before it hits you, you want them to get the ball before it reaches me. So as long as I just keep my composure and tell myself that, this is what we do, this is what we practice, and they'll get the ball out, basically trust each other and have confidence in your defense, then that's the only way you can keep your composure.
Both Hassong and Johnson agreed that a loss like this is not only a physical thing, but mental as well.
Today we weren't ready to play. The Radford just totally out-hustled us to every ball, and we weren't prepared to play mentally.
You just mentally prepare yourself as best as you can, and of course you come out extremely upset and ready to go, and you're angry and you're aggressive, and you just take that out. And a loss like this, I'll just take out in the next team. So I'm ready. I'm going to start mentally preparing myself now.
The Lady Bronx played a good game but lost 1-0 on a very sloppy field. From Lawrenceville, this is Patty Wittenberg, Rider Sports Corner.
The field hockey team will host Georgetown and LaSalle this week. Hopefully the field will be in better shape than it was versus Radford. We will now move from field hockey and go to the ice. Peter Nedved, a New York Ranger from 1994 through 95, and then from 1998 through 2004, was released after trying to make the team. Nedved was a fan favorite for New Yorkers, but was never able to fully make a stake in the team this year. Nedved was trying to make the third or fourth center spots on the Rangers. However, he was unable to turn around his fate, especially when he was on the ice for 3 of the opponent's 4 goals and finished -2 in an exhibition game against the Tampa Bay Lightning. With fall officially upon us, it is time to begin the winter sports season at Rider. The ice hockey team began their season this past week, and Sean Rainey was there.
The Rider ice hockey team took on CW Post of Long Island this past Friday in their season opener here at the Locks Ice Center.
I think throughout the game, we had our ups and downs, and we got to keep the pressure on at all times instead of having peaks.
Rider jumped out to a 1-0 lead late in the first period on a goal by Tom DeRizio. Tom talked about the move he put in the defenseman after the game.
My first goal, Alex made a nice defensive play down there in the corner, and he just picked off a pass. I just went up, and I was thinking about dumping it in, but the defender kind of taunted me, so I kind of wanted him and made the move and put it in the back of the net. Basically, that's all that was.
For the freshmen, it normally takes a couple of games before they are able to adjust to the college level of hockey. However, the freshmen accounted for 2 of Rider's goals and played a crucial role in the team's victory.
It's great. It's great that the freshmen really stepped it up because we need that leadership. We lost a lot last year with Bobby Warlow and Brian Petrozello. A lot of guys stepped up tonight. It's good that the rookies are jumping right in and getting some big points and playing really well.
Rookie Alex Schoen made a name for himself in his first game by throwing big hits and scoring a goal. Yet he wasn't sure if he was even going to play.
I was just happy to dress, actually. Those were just bonuses, I guess. They were exciting, though.
And describe your shot from the point that went in.
Oh, that was all luck, pretty much. Big Brook set up a nice screen there. Michaels got drilled. It was a nice shot, actually, but lucky mostly.
Rider was able to get a shutout in their first victory and talked about how this game will help them in the future.
It's great. We needed a big win here tonight. It's great that we got Bobby the shutout. Basically, I mean, we took it to Princeton. I mean, they're not a very strong team. We took it to CW Post. They were a lot better than what we played freshman year. But, they were a tough team tonight. They came out banging. They were a lot better than we thought they were. But it's pretty good feeling. Definitely got to take it in tomorrow.
Rider dominated Post in all aspects of the game and won by a final score of 6-0. For the Rider Sports Corner, this has been Sean Rainey.
The hockey team's next home game will be October 10th at 7 p.m. when they take on Lafayette College. Hockey has started here, And with the National Basketball season coming up, the Knicks are trying to get some big names, or names that used to be big. The big new move from the Knicks is inviting controversial point guard Stephon Marbury back to the team for training camp. Already, Donnie Walsh has been baffled by his comments. Marbury was asked to come to camp, and already he assumes even if he does not make the team, he will get his $21.9 million that are owed to him. Walsh was quoted to say, "I haven't approached Marbury about a buyout." Hopefully the Knicks will make it through the season with this new acquisition. Our own basketball team has been hard at work trying to schedule some big-time opponents. Patty Wittenberg was out and about trying to talk to people who are getting ready for the season.
Today the men's basketball schedule came out, and I wanted to see if everyone was as excited as I am.
The Bronx Zoo, home of the Rider Bronx and NBA newcomer Jason Thompson. We've all been to a game bleeding cranberry with pride, and finally the 2008-2009 season schedule has been released so that we can start planning which games we'll be attending this year.
Coach Tommy Dempsey and Karen Torscher were able to tell me what goes into the scheduling process and how they get people to come to our home games.
Scheduling is one of the biggest challenges of the job because one of the things you're looking for is home games, because you want to have a variety of home games for your fans and alums and boosters and people like that. So and getting people to come here is very difficult because it's been a very hard place for people to win over the past several years.
Our history and tradition here, when you've been here when the gym is packed, it's a loud, crazy place. People don't like to come here because the fans are right on top of the players. When you're taking the ball out of bounds on the opposite side of the court, you got people screaming in your players' ears. So it's intimidating. I mean, Rob Kennedy, who's a CN8 analyst, has said that on the East Coast, this is the second worst place to play behind Duke's Cameron Indoor Stadium. So that's quite a comment to make about our little alumni gym.
Rider pride is evident here at the zoo, and it's no wonder that other teams are afraid to come play here, since we only allow them to bring a very small number of their own fans to cheer them on.
We actually limited, it's only about 60. Sometimes they'll request additional ones, like maybe they're doing an alumni function. We actually ask, anyone who calls in for tickets, we ask them, are you a Rider fan? If some people say no, and we will tell them, well, unfortunately, we're sold out. In the case of Siena last year, when it was a home game, we had the 10-game winning streak going. We had a lot of Siena people trying to buy tickets, and we told them no. When it got down to the last 2 games of the season when we were sold out, we actually had several people who were our opposing team's fans camping out at Starbucks trying to get the student tickets off of them. So we limit the number of seats because we don't want our gym filled with non-Rider fans. The visiting teams can only sit behind their bench, and we're required to give 60 comps to each team.
Be sure to come and check out the Bronx play at their MAC home opener on November 7th. From the Alumni Gym, this has been Patty Wittenberg for the Rider Sports Corner. Let's go Bronx!
Okay, guys, show us what you got.
Shocking news in the sports and entertainment world this week as Paul Newman lost his battle with cancer on Friday night. Newman was most memorable for his portrayal as Butch Cassidy, but was also loved for his passion of sports. Newman starred in such films as Winning and Slapshot, both respected as 2 of the best sports movies of all time. Newman was known for his love of car racing and even owned his own team. In his old age, he was finally able to drive in the cars he loved so much. He was 83.
Now let's see what the Rider campus would like to know from Mike and Mark.
Hey, Mike and Mark, what's the worst NFL team in the league?
All right, for answering who is worse, I definitely think that Kansas City is worse this year. I mean, it really showed, especially when they played the Patriots. Tom Brady gets hurt. This is their full advantage to take advantage of a quarterback who hasn't played since high school. I mean, he has no experience in the NFL, really, besides maybe preseason. And that was their chance to really shine and actually get back in the game. And they let Castle pick him apart, especially when he's back in his own end zone. He hits past to Moss, who's wide open. And as for the offense, I just think they have no offensive line. They don't know what they're doing with their quarterback. I mean, it's just a whole mess of things. I mean, they have Larry Johnson, but again, without the line, what's Larry Johnson going to do? He's got only so much talent. He can only do so much load of the work. He needs help, and that's where the rest of the offense needs to come into play.
I can't argue with that, but I'd have to go with the St. Louis Rams simply for the fact that they've gotten blown out every single game they've played so far. And as of this week, the coach decided to bench Mark Bulger over Trent Green, which has caused quite a bit of controversy in the locker room. Steven Jackson spoke up and said he does not want to play for Trent Green. He wants to play with Mark Bulger. So with that, I think they're going to have more problems than Kansas City.
All right, we'll see.
Hey, Mike and Mark, what is your assessment of Brett Favre, and how will his injury affect the Jets?
Well, the Jets, I didn't think they were going to be good with a healthy Brett Favre, but obviously with an injured Brett Favre, they're going to be much worse. He's had an average season so far, 6 TDs, 3 interceptions, with a 70% completion rate, that's pretty good. But this team, I think, needs to rebuild. And you're not going to start your rebuilding with a 38-year-old quarterback.
I definitely agree. I mean, if you look at it, Brett Favre, not injured, still having an iffy season. I mean, yes, you said 70% completion percentage, which is very good, not going to lie, and they do have very good wide receivers. 6 TDs to 3 interceptions. Now, you put an injury into that, I mean, it's going to throw everything off, especially if he's going to fight through it and play like Ben Roethlisberger did. You're going to see a lot of things, I think, go downhill from there. And the Jets really can't afford an injured quarterback, especially during a rebuilding year, as you said. They need to find a quarterback that's younger. I think that Brett Favre is not going to do the job this season for him. I really don't, especially now with an injury. They need to find someone younger with more talent.
Is Notre Dame head coach Charlie Weis on the hot seat?
Now, for Charlie Weis and Notre Dame, I definitely think that they have to turn it around right now. They have no time to wait. After losing to Michigan State, there was horrible offensive play calling, and he's got to make sure that everything's going smoothly, and I don't think he's doing that. For the games coming up, they have to beat Purdue. They have to beat Navy. They lost to Navy last year. It was the first time in like 40 years. They have to step it up, and they have to start winning games. If not, he's on the hot seat this whole season, I think. And if he doesn't turn the season around, if he does not have a winning record, he is not going to come back next year. I can guarantee it.
I agree with you that he's on the hot seat. And if Notre Dame has more than 3 losses, I'm saying he's done. But, it is still very early. They're 2-1, which is not bad. But, yes, if he doesn't turn it around soon, if he does not do something, Notre Dame's going to be done for the season, and he's going to be out looking for a job after this year.
I agree. He's got to have a good season.
Absolutely.
Hi, Mike and Mark. How far will the Tampa Bay Rays go in the playoffs?
The Tampa Bay Rays, that is a big shock. I don't think anyone could have foreseen this. They're playing in a division with both Boston and New York to end up, winning the division. It was quite a surprise to me. They have 96-63 record as of now. It is very impressive, but I don't think they're going to do so well in the playoffs. I think they're going to barely get by the first round. I think they will win the first round, but there's no way they're going to go farther than that. I mean, they're playing against Boston and the Angels. They're going to lose somewhere along the lines.
Yeah, I agree. It's definitely a great story for baseball to see a team bounce back and be as successful as they are this year. But when it comes to the playoffs, in any sport that you talk about, it all comes down to experience. And as you said, when they play the Red Sox and the Angels, the Red Sox, as we've seen in previous seasons, have more experience in the playoffs. And I think that experience is going to play a role, especially for a team new to this, especially in this era. I definitely think that the Red Sox will take advantage of that. I don't think Tampa Bay is completely ready, but they may shock us, who knows. But I definitely think that experience will play a role in the playoffs.
I'd have to agree.
What are the problems with the BCS ranking?
When it comes to college rankings, I think, honestly, they're a complete waste of time. I really don't think they're worth it. I mean, as we saw last night, USC, who's ranked number 1, they rank them at number 1, loses to Oregon State, who they have trouble with almost every season. And it blows my mind that we're ranking teams as soon as the season begins. Why don't we let them play it out, wait till the end of the season, do what the NFL does. They have rankings in their conferences. And after that, then I definitely think that's where they need to start forming a playoff system. Even though there's a lot of teams, and I know it's difficult in Division I football, they have to decide what they want to do, because this BCS, along with these coaches polls, I definitely think just do not help the game. It just makes things more complicated. And as we saw from USC last night, they did come back. They tried to come back, but they just couldn't pull it out.
Right. I would agree with you. I think they're a complete waste of time. And like you said, I think they should do it by conference. There's just really no point into rankings. I mean, it's basically to have one school gloat over another for a week. And it doesn't matter because, as you said, USC, number 1, lost to Oregon State. like they do almost every year. So how far are they going to drop? You know, how far up is Oregon State going to go? Or if are they going to be ranked? Are they not?
Right.
Does it matter? I don't think so.
And again, like what determines how far they drop down? That's
right.
my other confusion.
Well, that's it for Mike and Mark. Back to you, Olivia.
Thanks, Mike and Mark. Moving from the national headlines to the Rider recap, we will give you all the sports information that you need to get in tune with your teams. The field hockey team fought hard against the Temple Owls this weekend, but came up short. The Lady Broncs were trailing 3-0 at halftime and were able to claw their way back to make the deficit only a 1-goal loss of 3-2. Trisha Crotty and Erin McGinnis netted the goals.
The women's soccer team's woes continued this week with another loss. This time it came at the hands of the University of Vermont. Kara Prakaski and Stacy Belgiovine scored the only 2 goals in a 5-2 loss. Drayson Hounsome was quoted as saying, "It's a team sport, but even if everyone doesn't perform to the best of their ability, we're going to give up goals, and that pretty much is what happened today." The women will have to step up their play versus Fairfield in their home opener to help increase their win total from just 1 this season.
Well, that's our show this week. Stay with the Rider Sports Corner for all your national and Rider sports information. This has been Olivia Hoff.
And I'm Tom Malachi. Have a great week, everyone.